What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. I am DJ, aka Token Black Guy. You guys, me for the first time, hit that like button, subscribe button. So it's been a minute since we did one of these breakdown Easter egg videos from New Rock Stars. But I watched the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, and it kind of bumped up my excitement for this movie. Now, it's an awesome trailer. I think it's probably gonna be on the top of my list right now for movies I definitely want to see this year. But as always, we got Mr. Eric Voss at New Rock Stars to break it down for us. This is a long one, so we're gonna go down a ride and catch all the Easter eggs and things we might have missed, and probably the speculations of what we think of the cameos that we're gonna see in this movie. Hopefully, this is the movie that kind of brings the MCU back to what it was in the past, you know. So let's check this video out, Mr. Eric Voss, see what we missed, Easter eggs and everything. Make sure you guys go to New Rock Stars, subscribe to their channel. They do a lot of breakdowns on different shows and movies. They do real good work over there. So without further ado, let's check out this trailer. This breakdown.
Welcome back to New Rock Stars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown
Welcome
of the
back,
trailer
Mr.
for
Eric Voss.
Deadpool
Been a
and
minute.
Wolverine. After
Been a
reacting to this trailer in yesterday's video, I immediately went to work for 8 straight hours breaking down this trailer frame by frame.
I know everybody was screaming for
this is
for this breakdown.
Purpose, and I worship at the altar of Marvel Jesus and his whole crusade to save the MCU with a bunch of TVA
Bring us
bullshit.
back to what it was. Bring it back to what it was, Mr. Marvel Jesus.
And if you want to the description, all right, let's dive in.
Let's go. That wig is bad, man. That looks so weird.
It's been a challenging few years, for sure.
So Colossus in the background.
Because of each and every one of you. I'm the luckiest man.
What was the guy, the playing guy's name in the second one?
This trailer opens with Wade's birthday party. Joining Wade is Vanessa, Blind Al, Dopinder, Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, and from the X-Force, Peter and Shatterstar. I'm also going to assume Brad Pitt is in this room as Vanisher, because there actually is a gap on either side of Shatterstar in this Polaroid where Vanisher is probably standing. Why not just claim that Brad Pitt is in this movie? Now, this guy with the beard is named Buck. He's from the Sister Margaret's Mercenaries bar in the scene from the Deadpool 2 Super Duper cut when Wade was mourning the death of Vanessa and his inability to kill himself.
According to the Kubler-Ross model, denial is just one of the 5 stages of grief.
Jesus Christ.
Is he in the first one too? Because doesn't he like grab his balls or something like that?
Remember, Deadpool 2 ended with Wade using Cable's time travel wristwatch fixed by Yukio and Negasonic Teenage Warhead to alter history to prevent the death of Vanessa.
I need to go back and rewatch them.
X-Force from dying.
Might be on the channel. Rewatch the first one and the second one.
Are all back here, but there's no sighting of Bill Skarsgård as Zeitgeist or Terry Crews as Bedlam here, nor is there Domino. Weasel. But TJ Miller had some controversy.
Yeah, so I doubt he's gonna go into movies anymore.
Wade's birthday cake has yellow and blue icing, perhaps foreshadowing his destined encounter with yellow and blue clad Wolverine. Whoever iced this started to space out the letters of birthday. Spacing out just too much at the beginning of the word, so they had to adjust halfway through and cram the rest of it in. Throughout Wade's apartment, you can see some Deadpool merch. That figurine sitting cross-legged on the green bookshelf behind Shatterstar. This is the pose in which we've often seen Wade in posters and promos, and we are reminded of our very first glimpse of the rebooted Deadpool in 2016 with his feet dangling from the overpass over the highway. On the shelf above that is a plushy Deadpool head, and then behind Dopinder and Colossus is some print art that looks like Roy Lichtenstein prints. Roy Lichtenstein was a 1960s pop artist who a comic strip inspired parody art. He was part of the same new art movement as Andy Warhol, and one of these stills looks like his famous In the Car painting, but it has been reversed now with a woman driving. This is just some perfectly ironic set decoration for Wade's apartment, as Deadpool's role in the Marvel movies is to use the medium of comic book cinema as a lens through
might
which
be kind of reaching for that one. Digging deep in that. Digging deep.
And can we just shout out Dopinder now for being in this after Karen Sony just this past year voiced Spider-Man India and Across the Spider-Verse. Now Wade has stapled to his head a toupee hairpiece, and you'll notice he is wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He wore the same shirt worn by Chunk in the Goonies in Deadpool 2.
Oh my God.
By the way, I broke down that amazing Richard Donner classic over on the Deep Dive channel. Now Wade says it's been a challenging few years.
I've only seen that movie one time.
And he can't help but feel a bit of a meta commentary on the past few years of the MCU, but you know, we're still happy. But there are some brief but worrisome shots of Wade with Vanessa, like Vanessa sitting at a table, Wade covering his head, and then Vanessa just kind of awkwardly leaving Wade to smile to himself like he's burying some pain. And notice how she says Make-A-Wish buddy and not Make-A-Wish babe.
Oh, they're not together no more.
I'm just reading into that.
They're not together anymore.
Is it possible that by averting Vanessa's death, by cheating fate, Wade might have put them on a different tragic timeline? Like maybe Vanessa has now gotten a cancer diagnosis because death finds a way. Remember, this all began with Wade getting
I think
cancer
it might be
diagnosis.
divorce.
That's what led him to going to Weapons Plus and getting healing powers in his deformed skin. Wade could be kicking himself for taking Vanessa from a timeline where her death was quick and dragging her into this timeline where her death would be a slow.
I think it might just be divorced.
Maybe even he stapled that toupee to his head to make Vanessa feel less self-conscious about having to wear a wig herself as she's undergoing chemo. But yes, Vanessa tells Wade to make
something's
a
going
wish,
on, Vanessa. I didn't
blows
catch
out the
that.
candle. But it's interesting that this trailer times the edit so that the moment Wade blows out the candle, the TVA Minutemen knock at the door, as if that blowing out the candle, making the wish,
Which
was
triggers
the trigger.
it.
The timing kind of suggests that it's Wade's wish that the TVA considers the Nexus moment. Opening the trailer this way suggests that the entire movie of Deadpool and Wolverine is a kind of classic
what was his wish,
fulfillment
though?
plot structure, where a character makes a wish or has some kind of desire, and the rest of the story kind of makes that come
Was it
true,
Oz?
turning the wish into a curse, and really just makes the hero question if this is what they really wanted. These are the kind of stories that end with a character kind of waking up from the dream, returning to their reality. But in this case, Wade may choose to live in the dream of the
what was his
MCU.
job?
We could end with a Marvel Cinematic Universe where it is implied to be all within the imagination of Deadpool. Like the MCU from here forward will be from Deadpool's perspective. That sounds complicated. I'm going to do a better job explaining it later in this video. So let's move on.
Wade Wilson?
I like how the connection to the TVA. I don't know that makes sense to bring him in.
Is that supposed to be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friend. But it is Disney.
I love how he looks at the camera. That little look at the camera.
Okay, so we're in the hallway now. 4 TVA Minutemen are greeting Wade outside his door. They're
I
wearing
wish it was
the
a black girl, though.
armor
That'd
that
been
we've seen
cool.
on the Loki series, but the 3 in the back wear these masks with orange visors,
Look
which
like Cobra.
look like SWAT or riot gear
Cobra
that we've never really seen
from,
the TVA use
G.I. Joe.
before, and they've tackled some dangerous folks. But we
Ooh.
have to ask: is Deadpool and Wolverine set before the Loki finale or after,
after,
the Loki
that's the
finale?
question.
Because remember, the TVA in its previous era used to protect the sacred timeline by pruning branch timelines created by these variants, doing things that violated the direction history was supposed to go, at least according to the Kang variant, He Who Remains. And yeah, Wade, with all the stuff that he did in Deadpool 2's ending, like saving Vanessa and the X-Force, killing his Weapon 11 form from X-Men Origins Wolverine at the 3 Mile Island facility and saying, hey, to Logan, will the Wolverine in this movie remember that incident? Or is
That's
that
funny.
just a Wolverine from a different timeline? Also, Deadpool 2's ending, and especially the super duper cut, totally lead into the fact that Deadpool tried to kill baby Hitler. Or did? All of these things definitely made Wade the kind of violator
watch
the
Super
TVA
Duper Cut. I
would
never watched Super
typically
Duper Cut.
target, at least in that old era. But as of the Loki Season 2 finale, we saw Loki march out into the temporal radiation of that exploding loom, weaving together the strands of time into
He's a new
his
tree,
own
right?
loom in the shape of the Idrisil Worlds tree that embraced and allowed to exist various branches in a kind of harmonious tree. So branches and variants, the multiverse, everything Wade did would presumably be allowed under this new order under God of Stories Loki. Which, please, can we get a Loki cameo in this movie?
I hope
Please,
so.
please, please.
It makes
I'm
sense.
saying that if the TVA, as we now know it to be,
Maybe
in the
Owen Wilson's
MCU
character, too.
wanted Deadpool, it would be for something else, not for him violating the timeline. Like, I think the clearest
They said he's
example of this
special. They
is
said something about
the
him being
TVA
special.
knocked on the door. Since when did the TVA knock on doors? They don't knock on doors. They're not that
They just
polite.
did it,
They
yeah.
have their own time doors. They just kind of barge into any location in any branch and then just detain and prune, and they don't care if there are any witnesses. So yes, Wade obviously in this movie is going to end up viewing the TVA antagonistically, but I think they need his help, and he's just going to do such a bad job of what they need him to do that they have
Oh,
to
he just
turn on him,
resists.
and he's going to resist. Now, yes, I cannot be the only one obsessed with the fact that Wade's apartment number is 17. 17 is one of these recurring magic numbers in the MCU. Like 17 was one of the Winter Soldier activation words. 17A was the silo number in Avengers compound
Okay.
that contained Tony
What's
Stark's
the
Iron
significance of
Spider
17?
armor in Infinity War. And in that same movie, T'Challa ordered to open the Northwest Section 17 of Wakanda. I get asked about this all the time, and my answer is always the same. It's just that 17 is a weirdly specific prime number. Screenwriters like to use it because it's simultaneously a lot of something, but it's also not a ton of something. So in this case, the set decorator
interesting.
used 17 to show that Wade lives in a large building with at least 17 units in it. So it's just kind of a little way of showing
So
that the guy
it
is
means
scraping
something, but
by
doesn't
after
mean
no
nothing?
longer making that merc money. Like maybe he's
Interesting.
killed everyone who can be killed in his universe, and all that business is dried up. And we see right here from the beginning how the humor of this film is going to be raunchier than what we're used to in the MCU.
pegging.
As Wade makes this pegging joke.
I love
Yes,
the
we
look
did
at the
see
camera.
him get pegged in the Valentine's
Yep.
Day montage of the first 2016 movie, and in this case, the time pruning sticks being used for that. Just put
I
some
didn't
weird
think about
thoughts
that.
in our heads
I didn't
whenever
think
we
about
rewatch
that.
characters getting pruned from behind in Loki. And yes, Wade looks directly into the camera,
the camera.
saying this is a first for Disney. Until now, only She-Hulk and Wanda Maximoff have broken the fourth wall like
Oh,
this
yeah.
in the MCU. And it's both a weird and exhilarating feeling. But most importantly, this identifies Wade as a Nexus being within the context of the story. And this is exactly why the TVA needs him. Okay, let's move on to the next part.
Because he's aware of other.
Mr. Wilson, You appear to have soiled yourself while unconscious.
I wasn't unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here?
Walk with me.
Now you see Wade with pins and staples still in his scalp, with the chunks
so
of the wig
bad.
still attached. He wakes up in the TVA interrogation room, sitting across from Matthew McFadden, whom closed captions confirm is playing a character named Paradox. Paradox is one of the many TVA agents in Marvel Comics, like Mr. Ouroboros or Mr. Mobius. But Paradox comes from She-Hulk Volume 2, Number 3, when he rules over a case involving Jen Walters after she warned Hawkeye of his impending death. This trial ends with the death of Mr. Paradox and Mr. Ouroboros when they're killed by the villain Clockwise. McFadden is known, of course, as Tom Wamsgans from HBO Succession, but here the actor is using his natural English accent that true McFadden fans know from his role as Mr. Darcy in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. The way, though, he just
not that familiar with the actor.
With that whiff of disgust, it's just
Like,
perfect.
he's holding his
Exactly
hands
what
like
Tom
Mr.
Wamsgans would
Burns'
say to cousin Greg
accident.
when he would stuff the break room snacks in the dog poo bag. Now, Wade says he wasn't unconscious when he soiled himself. Solid joke. But we are left wondering why Wade would be asleep or even fake being asleep and get away with it, as normally the TVA detainees are not like knocked out. Normally they're forced through the same processing steps, put into TVA inmate attire after being processed.
They want to
Wade
use
is
him,
allowed to
right?
stay in his clothes here.
Because
He's
they're
not
using
being
him.
treated as a temporal prisoner the way Loki and Sylvie were. Also, this room is pretty different from the other interrogation rooms we've seen in the TVA. It's the color green, and that's important because the TVA is specifically color-coded so that orange is
browns
for the security
and
level, green is for the clerical/admin level, and gold is for the legal level. So Wade
I
is
realized
not being
that.
detained as a security matter. He's being taken directly to the level where the TVA archives are. On to the next clip.
Wade, you are special.
What's it say? Wade, some
This is
console?
your chance to be a hero among heroes.
Okay, the doors open to a new part of the TVA that I don't think we saw in the Loki series. There's no particular color scheme to this room, but there's a white ceiling and there's a polished black floor. There's a few clerical and legal workers walking around with a technician in a white lab coat, but in the distance is a wall showing us the sacred timeline. Now, this is interesting because overall the shape of the sacred timeline is similar to what it was before the Loki finale.
So it could be take place before Loki?
Bottleneck region in the middle.
Events of
Now
Loki?
at the heart of that bottleneck is this hourglass shape, and of course the TVA logo is an hourglass. And then on the other side of that, the strands unravel on the other side. In the final minutes of the Loki finale, the sacred timeline screen in the TVA monitor room was turned 90 degrees to reflect the Yggdrasil tree shape that Loki turned everything into. This wall is back on the horizontal axis. So it could just be that this Deadpool movie was shot independent of the way that the Loki production decided to end that series, or maybe this hourglass logo is just how the TVA illustrates Loki's version of the multiverse. Or really this could just be a painting set in stone from the old era of the TVA, and like the various murals of the Kangs and the Timekeepers that they left up in those final scenes of the Loki finale, they just kind of left this up as a relic from the past so that they don't forget the historical mistakes that they made in the past. Now, Wade in this shot looks into a blue locker where his red and black Deadpool suit hangs.
Is that
Inside
his
the locker
locker?
are stickers, "Please be kind," which I think comes from these shirts with the bees around Mother Earth. And then there's this sticker of a bird on a soccer ball. I think it's Magpie. I'm wondering if it could be for the football club Newcastle.
That's what I was
United,
thinking, yeah,
the Magpies.
Newcastle.
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney actually co-own Wrexham AFC. Their
Oh,
mascot
so it's
is
not
a red
there.
dragon.
Okay.
Wade is wearing
I
a
thought it
blue
was football
polo
team.
with employee name badge, Wade Sales Associate Drive Max. So it kind of seems like before running into the TVA in the first act of this movie, Wade has had to kind of take a day job for some extra money as this kind of auto supply store salesman. We're also reminded of the fact that Ryan Reynolds played Blue Shirt Guy in he and Sean Levy's past film, Free Guy.
I love that Free Guy movie.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I Marvel
Well,
Jesus.
Jesus.
Okay, we find ourselves
I
in
love
a
that.
new part of the TVA with sloped orange walls. Paradox in this light, you can see in addition to that orange tie, he's wearing a green plaid suit, and I think that's a pale
Is that
canary
green or
yellow shirt.
black?
So really, his full color scheme of his outfit are TVA colors. We see a wall of curved video screens. Some of them show parts of the TVA, others timeline-related data
Iron
and
Man,
charts,
this is all
but
the
one of the
first.
screens to the lower left actually shows Deadpool in a suit holding an Emmy statuette. This is from the recent video that Ryan Reynolds made in January 2024 when he and Rob McElhenney accepted the Emmy for their FX docuseries Welcome to Wrexham about their football club. Like, since that just
I love a
happened
little
last
Easter
month,
egg
they
there.
just added that into this
That's
shot.
funny.
But the
That's
three
funny.
big upper screens show moments
I
from
like
MCU
that.
history. We see Iron Man skidding to a stop in his Mark 43 armor at the beginning of Age of Ultron when they were assaulting the Hydra base in the forests of Sokovia. In the middle is the full Avengers lineup during that battle as they all charged and leapt to the right in slow motion. And then on the right screen is Thor from Thor Ragnarok on the Rainbow Bridge after Hela sliced out his eye and he powered up as the God of Thunder. Shortly after this, we see the three screens with moments from 2014's Captain America the Winter Soldier. Steve Rogers fighting Batroc on the Lemurian Star in the opening sequence, Steve flipping and landing with his shield through the smoke while trying to take down the Project Insight helicarriers, and then a close-up of Steve as he faced down Bucky during that battle. Now, this may remind you of how in the Loki series, Mobius showed Loki similar clip shows from MCU history, but those focused on Loki's own life. It didn't really focus on just random other characters' lives, and most of the time when we revisited the past in the MCU, it was around 2012 with the Battle of New York. Like Avengers Endgame featured a really long sequence set during that battle. This would really be the first time we revisited Age of Ultron and Captain America Winter Soldier, which are best known as the Hydra era of the MCU. Now, this would be another corner of the TVA we've never been in.
Disney Marvel movies.
His MCU past, it was in a time theater with a projector, a room that was designed for that purpose. This video village seems to be set up for a different purpose. 8 years next, we see the shot of rolling desert hills, and there's this caravan of vehicles, almost like a Mad Max Fury Road style motley crew.
Yeah, what was that?
We did see some set photos in the past that include some spoilery rides, so if you don't want to know, click to this time past this section. You just don't want to know. Okay, so this caravan includes a modified version of Red Skull's hot rod from Captain America the First Avenger, his V16 coupe, also the cupcake truck from Moon Knight, and then there's this armored tank with a tall glowing pillar. This is one with a column of solar panels. We actually see this vehicle later in the trailer with this focus dish weapon. There's also a silver car with a 4 on the front, which is probably the Fantastic Four's car. Now, in this wide shot, it looks like that car is up front, leading the pack. Red Skull's hot rod is second from the back. The cupcake truck is right in front of that. We do see these vehicles later in the trailer. The cupcake top of that truck is in the far left of the shot, and it really seems like the purpose of these vehicles is to tow these metal spherical cages. I wonder if the light and the loudspeakers we see atop that tank are meant to draw Goliath, and they put human bait in the cages. So based on later shots of these vehicles in the trailer, I think this will be the group that Aaron Stanford Pyro is with. Perhaps some other X-Men and Fox Marvel Universe heroes
the cast side
to this wasteland, and they're just driving
that makes sense.
From all kinds of Marvel realities.
That
I'm
makes
pretty sure
sense.
This wasteland is the Void from Loki, but the Void that we saw on that show was like a grassland that looks.
But something
like
happened though. Remember,
honestly, this looks like a real landscape, and it looks great. But it must be like a different part of the Void, one where there's not even grass or any kind of vegetation left. Next, we get the shot of this cryptic bald figure. I believe this is Emma Corrin's character. Emma Corrin played Diana Spencer in the middle seasons of The Crown. Emma Corrin has been speculated to play Cassandra Nova, who is the evil twin sister to Charles Xavier, who engaged him in a psychic battle while they were both in the womb, and Charles defeated her, but then she came back later in life for revenge. It's just that this figure is
vaguely
really
aware of that story.
And she is sitting in this chair. So it may be a Professor X style hover chair. So my guess is Ryan Reynolds put this shot in the trailer as a kind of callback to Marvel Studios putting Professor X's bald head and shoulder and arm in the Super Bowl trailer for Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness 2 years ago. Next, a shot of Deadpool sitting in some rock-walled room, framed in giant teeth in the foreground from some kind of animal skull. I'm assuming this might be the remains of some other giant beast from Marvel past. Maybe
I saw that was the chair from Ragnarok.
Cinematic universe is about to change forever as he approaches this poker game in this nightclub. Sitting facing away from us is some version of Wolverine in a white tux. I believe we're looking at Wolverine Patch. The comic series where Logan wears this white tux in the style of Sean Connery from Goldfinger, and he wears an eye patch.
And he goes to
Madripoor of all places, where he is known as Patch. It's kind of like a recon mission in the Princess Bar, and I think that is the bar we are in.
That's Patch. It gotta be Patch.
Previously, we've only seen Madripoor in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I've always wanted to visit more of this seedy criminal underbelly. But there are like two parts of Madripoor. There's like the poor criminal element, and then there's the wealthy elite. The characters that I guess like Sharon Carter are a part of now. But look at the exact framing of the shot. You'll notice that
I forgot she's bad now.
Is perfectly blocking whoever the dealer is directly across from him. I am wondering if this is going to be revealed as Remy LeBeau.
Let's go, Gambit!
Now, Taylor Kitsch played Gambit in a New Orleans card game in X-Men Origins.
He's all right.
It could be Channing Tatum in the role.
It would be funny, but he was posted,
hell. You could totally imagine
I hope they do that
in this movie.
I hope they do it.
Paradox that he is the Messiah,
my favorite X-Men.
Marvel Jesus.
And yeah, just hearing him say the word Marvel is kind of
save us, Marvel Jesus. Save us.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yes, this isn't weird for Deadpool. He always makes meta jokes and makes fun of himself, but it is just weird to hear it in the MCU. But I think it's great because I believe that the reason Paradox and the TVA need Wade Wilson is that he is a special kind of Nexus being who can see reality for its cinematic framing. Beings like Deadpool and She-Hulk understand that they are in a movie universe. They are capable of commenting on it. And as we saw with She-Hulk and the Kevin robot, they are are capable of suggesting changes to retcon and fix things that do not make sense. I think Paradox is going to explain that movie universes like the MCU and the Fox X-Men universe used to be strong and stable, but the more characters were prematurely killed off or inexplicably resurrected or histories were retconned or just crappy adaptations happened.
It messed it all up.
Created plot holes that weakened the continuities and really were the underlying causes of these in-universe incursions. Incursions like the one caused by Wanda in Strange and Multiverse of Madness, by Peter Parker in Doctor Strange and No Way Home.
That would make
incursions
sense.
we saw in the Marvels. While these characters sparked the incursions and caused the spillovers, what led to those floodwaters rising was the erosion of logic in each of these universes. Each continuity got so strained that the border between these realities just started to chip away, and that the only way for the powers to be to heighten would be crossover events. So really, this is going to be Marvel Studios' way of making fun of that trend and making fun of all of Marvel past, not just the MCU, but Fox.
Good, they need something like this.
Also a part of behind the scenes making a lot of those decisions, as well as the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, and they're going to do it within this logical construct and rules set by the TVA. So I believe that makes perfect sense. Is going to be to use the TVA to go back in time and fix every plot hole in every past era of Marvel.
Yes, fix it all.
Fox Marvel, Sony Marvel. His goal will be to fill the plot holes, to patch the continuity. And this is going to take him on a journey of revisiting the banished misfit toys from throughout the multiverse, from all these movie universes who were just sadly erased from memory, as well as plot lines that just never had a chance. Gambit. He's going to fix the MCU and the Fox Marvel universes, and that's why he considers himself this messiah figure, this Marvel Jesus. We need him. Only he could do it. He's probably going to fail, and that's going to lead to Secret Wars. All right, let's move on.
Oh, that's funny. This trailer was badass. I ain't gonna lie. That shot right there, this right here, this sequence.
Okay, a rapid cut montage shows Deadpool suiting up with the help of this TVA armorer. We see a close-up of his zipper being zipped up, his butt being slapped, which reminds us of the weird butt shots and the similar sequences in the 90s Batman films. And if you go frame by frame through Wade lowering his gun into the holster, you can see tiny text etched in gold, "Smile, wait for the flash." In an elevator, Wade goes from a split to standing, but I'm pretty sure this shot is in reverse. Because when you actually reverse this, it's clear that he's going down into a split. The reason I know that they probably did it this way is the same camera trick was used by Steven Spielberg for the splits in the opening dance number of Anything Goes in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where we should note Indiana Jones wears the same Sean Connery Goldfinger outfit that Wolverine Patch wears in this movie. And just because I have to point out every number, the number on this elevator is 943. Maybe that's like the universe designation. I don't know. The way we have 616 and 838. Okay, we're back in the snowy forest that we saw before. Deadpool is just going wild on these Minutemen, knives flung into their faces, sprays of blood. I think this forest might be the surrounding area. It's the same one around Strucker's castle from Age of Ultron, where that opening battle took place. So could Wade's mission in this case be to save Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver from a premature death in Age of Ultron? I just mentioned Quicksilver because he is one character that exists in both the MCU as Aaron Taylor Johnson and in the Fox continuity as Evan Peters, and maybe Evan Peters, the actor, showing up in WandaVision could just be one of these confusing plot holes that eroded reality, a continuity sin that Deadpool is trying to fix.
That makes sense.
Probably the coolest shot of the trailer. We see Deadpool in front of the freaking 20th Century Fox logo. We did see the studio logo in set photos last summer, and yes, it is completely meta and bizarre, and I love it. But it speaks to Wade's ability to see these universes the way Kevin and She-Hulk do, as the products of films. I wonder if She-Hulk's going to be a missionary, where, as we see increasingly by horrible decisions by like Warner Brothers to just erase movies as tax write-offs. This is where the ruins of those movies go. And a subtle thing I just realized about the way this Fox Studio logo is buried, the word Fox is mostly submerged beneath the terrain. As when Disney bought Fox's film and TV divisions, they made them rename the studio division to just 21st Century. They dropped the Fox, but in this case, notice that they left the X of it visible. As with many of the X-Men films, the X in Fox would often glow for a few frames longer on the fades to black in the opening seconds. This and many details you will appreciate in our X-Men Stick rewatch series here on New Rockstars. But yeah, I just can't get enough of this shot. Deadpool flinging the bullet clips around to reload both pistols in one fluid motion. That shot is amazing. Has always insisted on this kind of impressive stunt work, and not just in the 2016 and 2018 Deadpool movies. He had a pretty sick bullet slice stunt in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and reloading this way kind of feels like what Agent Zero did in Origins. And you'll notice on the base of each of his guns are these little Deadpool head logos. Okay, on to the next clip.
Oh my God!
Yeah, what is that monster thing? I'm not familiar with that. They mentioned the name of it.
God, I love this part.
The pyro?
Okay, a TV Minuteman whose wrists are chained begs for Deadpool to cut him loose as others flee, and then he's snatched up by purple smoke. This is Alioth, the consumer-approved people and things from the Void in the Loki series. So this is definitely the Void. We didn't really see Alioth in Loki season 2, but in the last shot of Renslayer, she was facing down Alioth. So does that make a Renslayer cameo even more likely in this movie? Now, in the closed captioning, Wade's response is, "Oh my." But while they censor it in the text captions, they do not censor it in the audio of this trailer.
Nope.
Oh my God!
So did Deadpool sneak the first F-bomb in a Marvel trailer? This armed scavenger in this void location wears a gas mask while this armored vehicle unfolds this dish. I wonder if
Marvel
this is
trailer,
kind of Sonic canon.
I think the first F-bomb is in Guardians, right?
Used on Hulk and then were later equipped on Tony Stark's drones. Now, a few people are wondering if these people with metal masks and hooded cloaks, that one of them could be Dr. Doom.
Nah.
No, I don't think this is Doom. It's just not how Marvel Studios would introduce Dr. Doom to the MCU.
He's gonna be a serious character.
Under these masks will be some interesting VIPs for Marvel past.
Cameos.
And I do have to point out here that on the background on the left, I'm pretty sure that is a crashed helicarrier. We did see one of these helicarriers in the Void in Loki season 1, episode 5. Now, in the sequence, Deadpool goes out the back windshield of a car, and later we see him on the inside of the car, the upholstery covered in blood. Then there's this quick shot of Aaron Stanford, Pyro from X2 and X-Men: The Last Stand. He has goggles around his neck, and I may be wrong, but those kind of look like the bracers and straps of Captain America's uniform. You know, like the one that he tightened while he was fighting Thanos? So is there like a dead Steve Rogers prune down here, and they picked pieces off of his body? If this gang of bandits includes Pyro from past eras of X-Men, who else would be in this group under these masks? Could be any of the supporting players. Sean Ashmore, Iceman, Anna Paquin, Rogue. We know from set photos that there's gonna be some form of Tyler Mane Sabretooth coming back. Jennifer Garner is confirmed in the cast as Elektra from the Ben Affleck Daredevil era. Maybe we even get Chris Evans, but instead of Steve Rogers, as a previous era Johnny Storm.
That would be funny.
It could be anyone. Okay, onto the final part of this trailer.
Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Love it. Love it. And I love this what I call Deadpool 3.
The wall and
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Ground, the shadow of Wolverine approaches and releases his claws in a beautifully rendered snick. We don't see Wolverine here. Well, we kind of do when he bends over Wade to stab him. Actually, the Super Bowl TV spot does show Hugh Jackman's blurry form stepping up into frame. But either way, we don't need to see him in this trailer. We saw set photos of his glorious yellow and blue costume from the astonishing X-Men.
Just put the hood on one time.
Right
you ain't got to wear it the whole time. Just put it on one time.
Leather. And I think showing only his shadow is a bit classier because it proves that this hero is so iconic. All you need is his shadow, silhouette, and the sound effects.
He knows that who he is.
It creates this really cool shot composition because Deadpool is flat on the ground, his arms down by his sides, while Wolverine's shadow is a head taller at first, and his arms fold upward to release the claws. It kind of suggests that Deadpool and Wolverine are kind of two sides of the same coin, and that Deadpool is just kind of the shadow of Wolverine.
Yeah, it's like a love-hate relationship,
I think. Which is really clever because Wade Wilson got his powers through the same Weapons Plus program that previously worked on Wolverine. They have the same regenerative healing powers. And it kind of cracks me up that by tilting his head forward, Reynolds makes it so that his shadow is once again taller than Wolverine's shadow would be. Which is funny because Ryan Reynolds is 6'2", and he loves to make height jokes, and Wolverine is known for a stocky build as the character, so I think it's just gonna be a recurring bit of
Wolverine's like 5'4".
The craziest Easter egg in this trailer on the far left, a bottle of Pingo Doce, the green juice from the bottling plant
Did not even notice that
in Brazil in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film that Bruce bled into, and then Stan Lee drank one of these bottles and got sick. No, Stan and everyone else didn't turn into Hulks themselves, they just all got sick, and maybe this bottle was pruned to the void so that Stan Lee didn't get sick. Anyway,
Secret
that's the only
Wars.
Easter egg here. Bye everybody.
That's a Secret Wars?
Kidding. The second detail is the comic book underneath it.
I didn't realize that.
Secret Wars number 5 from the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run. It is a cover that features God Emperor Doom and the Beyonder. So we did technically finally get a Dr. Doom in the MCU. But what's important about this issue is that it explores the creation of battle worlds. And I cannot think of a more overt statement of what exactly this shot, this scene, and this movie are doing. We know that Marvel Studios is adapting Jonathan Hickman's Time Runs Out storyline that leads up to the 2015 Secret Wars crossover event in the comics. John Krasinski, Reed Richards, and Multiverse of Madness described incursions in almost the exact same language as Reed Richards in the beginning of Hickman's run. And placing this specific comic issue right here on the ground, no coincidence. They're confirming that the Void, or at least this part of the Void, is what will later become Battleworld or Avengers Secret Wars. The realm where all pruned and forgotten heroes and weaponry are sent initially to be consumed and deconstructed by Alioth, but will be repurposed in this movie into a battleground that will later be used by some villainous figure. Could be Kang, could be an MCU Doom, to create new teams to duke it out. For
Maybe
which
Doom
universe
is the
deserves
void.
to live
Somebody
on
gets out
after
of the
this
void.
incursion event. This is how Marvel Studios will bring back all fallen characters in a battle royale with heroes from all past eras of Marvel. The MCU, the Fox universe, the Raimiverse, as all these heroes will finally be able to appear in a film together. So
That'll be amazing.
Will just fail in his mission to fix these broken universes.
That'll be
He'll
a
only
big
make them more broken.
end
He's
game
gonna end up
event.
with so many pruned heroes that there will be just more of them in this hell battleground.
There's gonna be
than
so many
ones that
cameos
exist
in this
living
movie.
realities, and that's how we're gonna get Battle World. Look, folks, we're gonna be talking a lot about this trailer and the Deadpool and Wolverine film on New Rockstars throughout this year. So please subscribe to catch up.
Yes, go over to New Rockstars and subscribe to them. So like, I'm actually, the more and more I've gotten in, started reading more about this movie now since the trailer came out, I'm actually very excited for it. My excitement level's going up. So this is probably my most anticipated movie of the year, and it's been a while since I've actually been excited for a Marvel movie. So I'm actually getting excited for a Marvel movie. This looks really good. Eric pointed out a lot of good things. I really hope I see Gambit in it because Gambit's my favorite X-Men. So I hope to get both. I hope we get the Channing Tatum Gambit. So, but let me know. And the Secret Wars thing was pretty interesting. That part, that little Easter egg thing, that's pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a ton of Easter eggs, tons of cameos in this movie, and I can't wait. From what it looks like, the storyline is gonna make sense. How they bring everything together. For the most part, from the way Eric explained it. I hope what he said is true because it makes perfectly good sense. But you know how these things go. We only know what we know until we actually see it. So, but I'm excited for this. Let me guys know what you thought of this trailer. If you learned anything from this trailer from the Easter eggs that you did not notice in the trailer like I did. What are some speculations that you may have for this movie? But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Make sure you check it out tomorrow night or Wednesday night at 8 on the Basco scenario. I'm pretty sure there'll be a hot topic tomorrow. But yeah, so then guys, make sure you work hard. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.